DC the beat man. DC the beat man.
So epic. What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Train, as usual. Hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. And as you can see, we got my girl Naomi on the screen now. Naomi, how's everything with you?
Hello, I'm doing great. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. I gotta say that is the cleanest background I have seen on the screen thus far outside of mine. Like, that is smooth, bro. Like, hey, I might have
here. Take care of some adult business here, and we're chilling in the free time while we're doing so.
I appreciate you for sharing a little time. I appreciate you. So look, before we start, I just gotta say we're gonna start the show now, right? But it's a quick take segment. We got a Gab trivia, Get a Bucket trivia. What is? Let me get it right so I don't mess it up. What is a 3-letter word that starts with gas?
A 3-letter word that starts with gas?
Yes.
Gas.
That's final answer?
No, hold on. A 3-letter word that starts with gas. That starts with gas? A 3-letter word?
Correct.
Gas, bro.
Final answer.
Yeah, I'm about to feel silly if it's something stupid. I'm gonna be mad.
The answer is car.
Oh man. Oh man. Good one.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Just want to start off. You said what?
I was thinking of like the spelling of it. Whatever.
I just wanted to start off so something light, something slight. But no, I appreciate you. I makes sense.
Being like, I don't know, and then the answer just being like, whatever.
Hey. Well, I mean, on to the next one, because I know that one, at least the next time, you might do a little better. J.R. Smith. Have you been? You golf? Have you seen his show on I want to say Peacock, Showtime? It's on my Fire TV. On my Fire TV.
I have not. I've read like captions here and there of how his game is. I think it's awesome that he's golfing. I love players that, like, a lot of the professional players that excel at like other sports. I love seeing them play other sports, and I love how, especially the football players, like in their off time, they're on the golf course. I love that. And then my OGs, Steph and Clay, they're always on the golf course.
Oh my gosh, her infatuation with Steph, I swear. It's back on the JR. I feel like that can get that conversation get a little tricky.
We don't need the whole internet knowing
what I know about your infatuation with Clay. So okay. So it's funny that you said like you like how he's able to play 2 sports. He actually played football as well. So I like the fact that he's able to play like 2 golf now, because what it shows is, one, is determination. Like in a couple of the videos, it's like 4 episodes out right now. I don't know how many more coming out, but what I saw a couple of things such as like, don't judge a book by its cover, because believe it or not,
very much
people might say, oh, J.R. Smith is slow, or J.R. Smith can't da-da-da-da. Well, J.R. Smith had a learning disability in high school, and the fact that he's able to overcome a lot of BS that's thrown his way like that, you wouldn't think someone like that in high school, because he's in a special needs program, like blah 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 blah. I don't ever judge a book by its cover, and or at least I try not to now. And it's like, when I saw that, it just kind of reiterated that point. It's just like, it's a good show all around. I think if you want to get like a different viewing of J.R. Smith, you definitely should watch the show. And just to be clear, it's on Amazon Prime, not the other ones I mentioned. It's on Amazon Prime. Get that correct.
I'm sure. I believe it. I also keep in mind of like the intellect that is needed to excel in golf is so underestimated. So for players who are able to, and do it well, switch between sports whether it's just for fun, whether it's professionally, and then also throw golf in there. Like, people don't understand exactly how hard golf it is, and it really takes someone to be able to play the sport and to play the sport to really understand and have a better appreciation for it. So I mean, I'm impressed by anybody. Doesn't matter what they do. If you tell me that they're good at golf, I'm impressed immediately because it's so hard. Considering how long I've played it, it's just crazy. It's the crazy thing.
Exactly. It's a very tact-like game, and I'm glad you used the word intellect also, because again, when I said he had a learning disability, right, he still overcame that and graduated. Well, fun fact, he also got a 4.0 in college too. So again,
he NC State? No, he went to HBC, right, North Carolina.
Yeah, A&T.
Okay.
Yeah, he went to A&T. So, he's at A&T still. So, like, he got a 4.0 there. I'm glad J.R. Smith is showing this documentary, because I think it is changing the narrative of J.R. Smith. So, but I just wanted to make sure I highlighted that. That's not the meat and potatoes of this video, ladies and gentlemen. But again, I did want to give J.R. Smith his flowers. So again, J.R. Smith, kudos to you.
Kudos to that black man.
Y'all see the shirt. Let me stand up right quick. Y'all see the shirt, so we gonna slide on into it. The Final Four. Now, I didn't go to the women's Final Four, and I'm kind of disappointed, because I feel like it was better than the men's Final Four. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that, Naomi?
So I'm gonna be a little biased. I thought they were both great, but I had a personal stake in the men's side. And you always go here, and I was really gonna try to make sure we avoided this. But yes, I will agree, as far as viewership and as far as thinking from the outside, looking at it from a different perspective, definitely. I would say the audiences are starting to shift a lot more, because women's sports for a long time was way too consistent in regards to who was doing what, and now it's done a complete 360 to where we're seeing completely different types of teams and completely different teams excelling. So I mean, and plus the girls are getting buckets, like, maybe the hype when it comes to WNBA and NBA, is still in question, but as far as college to college, sex versus sex, girls have been getting buckets. Like, anybody who doesn't agree with that is, I would question their basketball IQ. But
funny enough, I do know somebody who questions the WNBA players, really women hoopers, I think, in general. And I try to tell them all the time, like, yo, they
the whole nother, you gotta have to either have wanted to play, and especially have played, to really to really just be able to see, and a lot of NBA players would say this too, to really see like the beauty and the physicality and the skill of watching women play, especially considering we're not as athletic as men, so we're missing a lot of the glamour and the glitz in the game, but the fundamentals that are presented and the way it goes, it's crazy. For the men, my squad did what they had to do, so I was tuned in for it all.
I guess. I let you have your flowers about the UConn Huskies. Y'all know I'm a Blue Devils fan, so we gotta not let her talk too much about UConn. We gotta say, I'm not being petty with it, but I'm just being honest. Nah, but for real, on the women's side though, I was actually surprised the Final Four looked like this. I didn't know Iowa was gonna get there, right? Like, LSU wasn't a guarantee. But let's talk about these teams, though. What was your thoughts on VTech? Because they were the number one seed, right? Or a number one seed, not the number one seed. They were the number 2 seed in the ACC. 31-5 record. Notre Dame was a 3 seed, even though they won the ACC. Questionable, but they ended up, losing to LSU by 7 points. Last time I checked, Iowa, they lost by 17, 14. Like, it was a dog walk. So it might have been the championship game between VTech and LSU. What's your thoughts on VTech? Is that accurate to say or no?
So So I'm a little. I don't know if my opinion would have a heavy weight. I didn't watch a lot of VTech's season.
I'll say this: I didn't necessarily watch VTech either. Hell, I barely watched the Duke women. It was mainly Duke, UConn, South Carolina. Like those are the teams that I watched, and even then, it was like occasionally because I fell off on college this year. When my boys is out of it, it's tough to really be engaged. Like that. I ain't gonna hold you, but like VTech did seem like they were starter reliant. Like they go about 6, 7 deep maybe, but I saw like a solid 6 players start again or play against LSU. So
once they got to the nitty gritty games, they're big. Caitlin, whatever her last name is, and then their guard. I mean, they just didn't have a well-rounded team where so everybody was contributing to a almost equal portion or somewhere where they could pick up slack if they were hurting. I think that worked so much in LSU's favor because they just had so much depth in comparison to the teams that ended up making it.
Yeah, I think that definitely helped.
I thought it was a toss up. I wasn't surprised that they lost. I don't feel like they probably hadn't seen anything like that as far as gameplay until they got to the Final Four. They play well, they play well. So shouts to them. But
yeah, no, I looked at the game against LSU. Like I said, that could have been the championship game. You lose by 7 points, so you can make a case for that. But I also think too, again, they look like they go 6 deep, and that 6th person didn't really get too much PT. And you got to really be hitting on all cylinders with your starting 5. And that game, they did not. I think if I forget the girl's name who didn't necessarily play up to par, quote unquote, but she only scored like 4 points. I think they might have gotten foul trouble. If that changes, maybe they beat LSU, so maybe they could have beaten Iowa. But you only have 4 players. We've seen teams get into foul trouble, trying to go at Caitlin Clark. So maybe that similar thing happened. It was interesting, long story short, but like with how Virginia Tech got into the Final Four and did kind of perform. So I mean, next year I might want to look at them a little bit more because I think they're returning a few players back. So I would like to think they can still build upon that and make something change.
What do you mean as far as that game could have been the championship?
So when I say that, Iowa versus LSU, right? It was a 17-point deficit.
Right.
Because LSU won the game, I'm looking at LSU versus Virginia Tech in comparison and saying, okay, maybe that was the championship deciding game. Because if Virginia Tech only lost by 7, maybe they can beat Iowa by like 10. Now I know you can't necessarily say, oh, that's exactly how it's going to go, because again, you can get in foul trouble and then that throws off your dynamic. But based on how that game appeared to have gone, maybe Virginia Tech had enough talent to get over the hump over the Caitlin Clark. I
think Virginia Tech versus Iowa would have worked 1,000 times more in Iowa's favor. I think Caitlin didn't have the stamina to go against an LSU starting 5 and bench the way she would have needed to produce in order to win that game versus having to go through a Virginia Tech starting 5 and maybe a 6th player. Her starting 5 and her bench can contribute just enough for the game that she had versus Virginia Tech to have been a completely better championship. But their uphill climb and then having to face the likes of LSU as their final challenge, I just didn't see. I was going to be super surprised if she could have pulled something out to be able to get around that. They just had too many weapons versus, probably an extremely fatigued Caitlin Clark and, her couple assets that she has. And if she's not onto a good game, it completely throws down the dynamic of her assets as well. Her big players, her perimeter shooters, any of that. If she's not having a good game, none of that can get started. So I was honestly surprised that LSU let them put up 80 points. I kind of stopped kind of started falling asleep more and more every time I saw LSU pull away, and then I would kind of like.
If you have a decent enough cushion, I don't think it really matters how many points the other team is really putting up.
Right.
Personally, like
So,
I know if I'm throwing up, if I got a nice solid lead and we keep scoring and y'all keep scoring, I know you're not going to win then, so it doesn't
Right.
matter, I guess. So now the team that I'm really curious about next season, South Carolina, because again, next year, I think it could be interesting because apparently their bench could also win a national championship too. So, what's your thoughts on South Carolina? Was it weird how they lost? Because it almost seemed like no, it wasn't almost. Iowa really just said, "Yo, go ahead and shoot. Like we'll let you shoot it," and they just couldn't capitalize, which is kind of wild. Because when I read the scouting, you read the scouting reports about the Leah Boston, you've seen the game. I'm expecting, a decent little shot. You see the team, they've hit shots before, like elite shooters, but to miss open like that the entire game, I don't know. It's weird to me.
Yeah, and for me, granted, I'm not in college. I don't play college basketball, judge, but I feel like from maybe a coach's perspective, you gotta have a shooter. Now, Zia Cook was doing her thing, so she was hooping. She was doing what she had to do, but it just would have been so much more beneficial if Zia Cook could have just had one guaranteed, just one like 50%, 60% option for kick-out purposes. That would have completely just changed the entire game, because I don't know what Iowa had going on, but they were disrupting the big play, and that's South Carolina's reputation is big play, and then their defense. That puts up 70, 80 points a game for them, considering their boards. So
but the issue was they couldn't make the shots, so they were just clogging, like Iowa was clogging the paint.
You're not going to trade with any team threes for twos for too long before that starts to bite you in the butt. And to have the ability to get threes open, you just have to have that. You just have to have that force on the floor to give you a chance for in situations where your bigs. I mean, I thought it was absolutely mind-boggling that they were producing far better with Aaliyah Boston off the floor. That completely took me for a win.
I mean, I think when you have Aaliyah Boston off the floor, other players have to try harder because now there's a gap. So, like, normally let's say your star player's on the floor, you understand your role, but as soon as they're off, your role changes. Now you have to do more because they're off the floor. So I can understand sometimes why teams look better than if they're with their star player off. I was very intrigued because, like you said, it is tough to go back and forth when you're going threes and twos. Except my philosophy is this though: threes don't always they don't keep raining, So like eventually they're going to stop. And I thought South Carolina could wear Iowa down, so I was very surprised that they weren't able to capitalize on some moments that I thought they could have to really kind of demoralize Iowa, because Iowa, I felt like, always had confidence. Like Caitlin hits a bucket.
It was like blacked out. They went in that game. I think that underdog mentality really it did something for them. But it was for me, that was unfortunate for that to have been their Final Four game, in my opinion. That's how, because I feel like even though they lost, as far as physicality and excitement and of the game, I would have considered that or the VTech, both those Final Four games, vastly better than watching the championship.
Interesting. Let me ask you this then. I understand, LSU again won the championship. Shout out to them. I'm not trying to discredit them at all. Do you feel like if they played South Carolina, would they have won? They meaning LSU.
LSU's game versus how they played Iowa, and South Carolina's game versus how they played Iowa, I think LSU would have beat them. However,
I'm about to say, didn't they have a matchup?
The matchup difference is that would have been a grit fight, and I think South Carolina would have got the better of that one, because I'm thinking about this in this way: you got Aaliyah Boston in the middle, and then you have their other tall girl whose name I cannot think of, and I'm pretty sure she entered the draft. She's real Sardosa. I know I'm saying it wrong. Their other big girl.
You said
It's
Cardoso.
Sardosa.
Cardoso.
Her. You got those two bigs right in your center. How does LSU match up to that with with Angel Reese? They're going to have a whole lot more perimeter.
Well,
LSU.
Hold on.
Amazing.
You said how do they? I could have sworn they played in the regular season. So we had
Victoria Saxton too.
Yeah, we had South Carolina dog walking LSU. Come on, little fella. Like that's tough. 88-64. That's
a month before the March Madness tournament starts. So this isn't like beginning of the season. We're just getting our feet wet.
Yeah,
this is like we're deep in it.
Now,
so we've got Bria Bill, we've got Victoria Saxton, keep going. We've got Aaliyah Boston, keep going. I mean, these are solid bigs that Don Saley puts confidence in to give Aaliyah Boston a break. So we're saying 4 or 5 solid bigs coming in to give support to Aaliyah Boston with their few perimeter players. I mean, the matchup there is just different. And then you've got the defense of Zaya Cook on whomever is, point.
I think it would have been interesting. I think it would have been interesting to see.
I think it would have been a better game, obviously, but I
don't know about a better game. I don't know about a better game. Here's the reason why I say that. The drama that took place from that game was actually a lot better than what drama could have occurred between LSU and South Carolina. This was a redemption game, but I think, from a basketball perspective, I don't even know if I want to say it could have been a better game too. Because again, watching Caitlin Clark on that stage, you seeing Angel Reese, I think you kind of now have a quote unquote villain for college basketball, which I think she's okay with being. She doesn't care, it seems like. So I appreciate that. I think this game was very phenomenal, and that actually that does transition on into the next section. Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark. Now, talking a little bit about LSU versus Iowa, it seems like there's a little bit, just a smidge, of a disappointment in your eyes for the game. It looks like you might want a little bit something different.
Yeah, I was hoping. I was just hoping Iowa would have brought that same intensity that they did with South Carolina. I was hoping that would.
You don't think they did? Really?
Well, maybe, but I think once they got out of their rhythm, I could just see how hard it was for them to get it back up. Because LSU would do a couple of things to disrupt it, and they would be disrupted for so long of a period before they were able to come back, find it again, and then LSU would just switch it up and disrupt it again. I saw them, they were able to find their rhythm the second they lost it with South Carolina. It just almost looked like.
I think it was more so. I felt like that was because Caitlin wasn't fatigued at that point in time. That's what in that South Carolina game. Like I said, South Carolina could not capitalize in moments where I thought they were about to, and it was just because Caitlin hits a tough bucket, or this pass is made, or this person hits a random jumper. They were able to do that, but they also fed off Caitlin Clark. And it's in the championship game, once she hit that fatigue, that first quarter, it was disgusting. There's no way in the world we're doing this already. Come on, Caitlin, you got to chill out, sweetie. We got to pump the brakes. And I think she listened, and she did, because LSU was. They ramped it up a little bit, but I think it was more so because of the fatigue of Caitlin Clark that they couldn't really get that energy that they needed at Iowa, especially when the big girl got injured too. Monica, not injured, a foul. Yeah, they got fouled. They got into foul trouble. So it's what are we gonna do now? So I think that was for me, it was entertaining. But Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark, is this a respectable rivalry now for you? I know you are on record for saying that you didn't like the back and forth that Angel had. You thought it was. I'll let you add your own words.
Details out of there.
You said what?
Don't leave all the details out of there.
I'm gonna let you speak on it because you did say she was corny. Now,
so before you go any further, when I saw the altercation, now I wasn't aware of the alternative conversation at hand in regards to the inequality comparison between the two of them. I wasn't aware of that, and I'm totally for Angel Reese. I feel like if it's cool when Caitlin Clark does it, it should be the same content for Angel Reese. Would you say that the South Carolina was Caitlin's best game thus far?
Yeah.
Okay, that's how I feel. I can't imagine her topping that.
I mean, she got the green light. I mean, she got the green light. So I look.
I said, but I can't imagine what that would look like. Like,
oh, it's easy. It's a 50 ball triple double. Easy. Like, she's gonna do it. She's gonna do it.
I can't imagine how she does it. Like, does she just get laser black out from the three? Is she just going nuts from perimeter? I can't even visualize it because I know it could happen, but it's like
she already gave you a 41 triple double. So just add 9 more points, however you want. Whether that's 3 threes, whether that's 9 trips to the free throw line, whether that's 2 field goals. I don't care. Like, we've already seen 41. I'm expecting a 50 triple double. That's all I'm saying. Caitlin, you got the green light. Let it fly, please. Oh man. But Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, is this now a respectable rivalry for you? Because again, you said Caitlin's great and Angel in. So
I also said I don't know enough about Angel Reese. I will put that out there. So my comments could be 1,000% just incorrect. However, I was saying, for one, to begin with, it was corny. It was corny when Caitlin did it. Nonetheless,
it was corny when Caitlin did it. That's so tough. At least you're consistent, though. At least you're consistent, but that's tough. Wow.
I mean, I got why she did it. Caitlin was almost from the logo, pulls up with Shorty right in front of her, and the ball goes in, like, doesn't even hit the rim. So at that point in time, I just feel like your game should always speak for yourself. But I understand the intensity in that moment. I understand Shorty was blacked out from that period. Like, nobody on that team was guarding her, regardless of what she was doing. The bigs weren't, the guards weren't, the post players weren't. Nobody was to guard her. So to begin, I thought it was corny to begin with. However, my perspective, and Trey always knows, is it has nothing to do with that. It's just on a basketball level. That LSU game, I'm sure, Angel Reese is their best player. That was a 1,000% beautiful team effort. Like, everybody was doing what they were supposed to be doing, and it was so cohesive. Caitlin carried that team to the championship on her back. I just thought, and it would have been different, had Angel Reese would have did something physically versus Caitlin. It was just like, I thought she could have just been like, and that would have been it. But she was walking around following Caitlin Clark, like,
she won't stalking the girl and doing this. She was walking past her, and I mean, what you was like?
I just thought it was corny because we're talking about Shorty who just had the best NCAA run. Like, I felt like,
yeah, but I mean, to me, I look at it like this: she stopped her in the day. Like, it don't matter how you look at it. Her team stopped Iowa's, and right. She played
fair. All is fair, both sides. Me personally, though, I felt it was corny for Caitlin to originally do it, but it was live. it was cornier for Angel to do it, but it's respected.
Only thing that I think was a little weird was they were coming to the defense of South Carolina. Now my thoughts are this. I not now my thoughts are this though. If you're like cool with South Carolina like that, like okay, maybe I hear you. Like maybe I'm really close friends with Aaliyah Boston, you know, like
Or the girls
possibly
that
I fine.
did
But
it.
yeah, but I'm not gonna really care too much if you did somebody else like that. Because I mean, you made a tough bucket. You played out. You played out the wazoo. You tip my cap to you. Just know though that I know you like to trash talk, so I will be gunning for
Right.
you. But
Right.
that's that. I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
You
only
open
thing
your
that I
mouth,
can
then
say
you
I thought
do
was a little weird.
exactly. You open your mouth, then you got to be ready for whatever comes your way. So that's why I'm cool with the Angel Reese part. Mine is just like it's very much from a personal bias standpoint. I'm very much like, it's so much colder for your game to just be silent. Like,
I mean, I hear that. All I'm gonna say though is,
I
um,
get it. I've never been on
Tim
that team.
Duncan is one of the most silent players that I've ever like
Who?
seen. Tim Duncan is one of the most
Amen.
silent players I've
Love.
ever seen, and he talked trash. That's all I'm saying. That's all.
Yeah.
Like that's all
Yeah.
I'm saying. He
I
talked a
get
little
it.
trash. He talked a
That's what
little
I'm saying.
trash.
I've never been at that level. I can't imagine the adrenaline running. Like, I'm there for it. That's mine was just a personal opinion. Like, I'm more so of like just a little quieter, I guess, in my respects. But the conversation of Angel Reese being ghetto, hood, trashy, that's the ultimate corny. Like, that's
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Cordy just won a ring. So all is
Yeah.
fair at that point.
I also didn't like how Flotus came and said, like, I understand her intentions, right? You want to highlight the game and say everybody played well. Respectfully, I think her answer when she said, "Oh, she had no ill will, she had no like ill intentions," I questioned that a little bit because you can say, "Oh, they all played really well." Because flip side to it, right? Let's say LSU loses by 17 points. You're not saying, "Oh yeah, let's invite them into the White House." You're saying, "Oh, let's invite Iowa alone." Like so, respectfully, I feel like she was talking out her ass, and I I would still probably go to the White House just out of tradition, but it's that I'm gonna be respectful just because it's the president's wife. But just know at the same time, I'm sorry, I'm not appreciating at all whatever you're saying. The apology, I'm probably not going to accept really, because to me it came off a little racial, to me a little bit, no matter how you want to spin it. But that's just me though, because
I don't even feel like as the president you should be like as Lotus, you shouldn't even be concerning yourself with something like that. But I mean, there's been a year where wasn't there a year where the NBA winner didn't go to the White House, but Trump was in? So I don't blame LSU at all. So
yeah, I mean they did go, and to be fair, and I'm not throwing shade at the White House. It's Flotus because the White House officially invited UConn's men team and LSU's women team, but she made the statement.
Yeah, she should have been quiet on that for sure.
Yeah, you could again. She could have just said, "Hey, they both played great. Shout out to Iowa. Shout out to Caitlin Clark. And then LSU, of course, y'all won the championship. We can't say enough about y'all." And that's
her inherent bias was too loud publicly. So
exactly. Now, yeah, yeah. Like maybe we can have her transfer. Maybe we can transfer Flotus somewhere. I don't know. Speaking of transfer though, Naomi, real quick. Haley Van Leaf. Oh my God.
Don't worry, I got
Haley,
you.
Haley Van Leef. She's transferring now. Louisville won't that bad.
Point guard. Who needs
Louisville won't that bad.
I mean, I think you mentioned LSU. I'm sorry. Go
ahead. Well, how about South Carolina?
She would be great as that shooter component that I was mentioning. That would be chef's kiss right then and there, because Dawn Staley was playing a little girl. I cannot think of her name, but Dawn Staley was putting her in as her shooting asset. She didn't have a very good a very good percentage. So having I think Van Lith would have been an amazing, just that little slight that they needed to get over the Iowa hump. So
yep, and also because South Carolina does battle UConn a couple times, so you do get to outclass potentially Page, and if you go up against Iowa again, you can be like, hey, I was the missing piece in getting over the hump. You know what I'm saying? So like now you can kind of help yourself out if you're Haley. So I think South Carolina is a potential landing spot for them or for her. LSU could be another possible pick, like because hey, they did lose some guards, so
I can see her fitting in there.
You know what I mean? And then
absolutely left field, I would put Stanford in there. Notre Dame.
Oh, because they got Olivia Miles though. I don't.
Yeah, but she tore her ACL and she could use some help.
That's fair. That's okay.
She had an outstanding game against UConn. That's the one game I saw, but she could use help. Two of them on one squad, that would be great to build around depth wise. I don't know about their other assets and scores, but I know.
Yeah, I'd have to look at Notre Dame.
They're a small guard team, so another guard wouldn't hurt them. They play well with a lot of guards.
Do they already have enough guards? That would be my question then.
Yeah,
if they already have enough.
Yeah, but
I might want to look into it.
She would get playing time immediately. So that's
no. Yeah, her getting PT ain't even the question because she's already put in the work to get enough PT. It's a matter of is it the best fit? Because if I'm Haley, I'm thinking championship, and like if I'm paired up with Olivia, I could do that, but
so definitely Stanford. I think her options are probably 1,000% open. I do not think UConn would be an option for her.
You can't.
Yeah, UConn is expecting a full replenishment to their squad plus their freshmen come in. I
wouldn't go to UConn. I think they have
would fit her in. I just with the loss of Lou Seneschal and their other big, but that's the one team where I'm like, I know for a fact I would be blown away if that's what she ended up.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect her to go there either. But I think I do like the South Carolina move. I do like the LSU move a lot. Hopefully she can consider them. I think Mulkey would like her for whatever reason, So
I will say, thus far, also we have to keep in mind Paige has been hurt for the majority of her career. However, I would not expect her to be inheriting her is not like picking up a Kaylin Clark or a Paige, even though that was definitely the narrative as freshmen for them. But as time has gone on, now that can be grain of salt considering Paige. But with Caitlin, those are not equal assets for a team. However, I think she could be just as beneficial considering if she is in the right slot. She's good off the ball.
She's an impact player.
So if she just had to focus on one position, because at Louisville she has to do a lot of it, but if she could just be focused on one position, I think she would be crazy.
Yeah, no, like I said, she's a solid guard, and if she's in the right situation, they can end up winning a championship. Like South Carolina could easily win a championship with Haley, so that would be a plus. And also before we transition, I just want to say, Haley, my bad. Because on the last video, I called you Courtney.
You should have let that rock.
I just want to say, like, my bad, champ. I called you Courtney on the last video, and I know your name. I don't know why I said Courtney. To be fair though, she heard me and she ain't say nothing. I just want to say that. But my bad though. My bad, Haley. My bad. But Liam, you got time for one more segment, or you good?
Yes. Just a disclaimer though, my phone is probably gonna die. I'd say I'd give us 15 minutes or so.
Oh, that's straight. Now, my question is this though, because we're gonna talk about the Storm for the WNBA 2023 predictions, right?
A whole new squad now.
You know what I mean? And I wanted to talk about them because I know you a Sue Bird fan. I know you're a Brianna Stewie fan. You know what I mean? So based on this team, right? And let's do it according to like everybody wants to talk about the Liberty and Aces, and I think it's not just a two-team league right this year. I
It'll be
don't
very
think the
spread out. I do not see
yeah.
a team right now that is going to compete with Las Vegas, but it should be even across the board elsewhere, in my opinion.
I kind of disagree with you, but that's another video for another day, I'm assuming. But just know there are a couple teams that can beat both the Aces and the Liberty. Again, there are some teams out there that can beat those two.
Okay.
It's just not going to be the Storm, though. So, what would be the starting five based on your assessment?
Jewel Lloyd, Kia Nurse. Scroll down some.
That's the whole list. That's the whole list.
Oh, Turner. Jewel Lloyd, Kia Nurse. No, not Turner. Either Kia Nurse or Turner. Jasmine Walker, and then I don't know enough about the rest. A big player, so probably definitely either the 6'5" or the 6'6"er, whoever's the better between them.
Okay, now why do you say Jasmine?
It looks like a solid squad, though.
Why do you go Jasmine Walker in the starting lineup? Out of curiosity.
She's big enough to play it forward. I don't know too much about her game, but I feel like you have some height defensive wise. You have someone who's potentially another scoring threat. She's not clogging up the lane, and she's able to be out on the perimeter, on the from mid range. You have your two small guards in there already. I think the 1, 2, and 3 are always the most interchangeable. You're not gonna, unless you have a dynamic post player. Those are typically, you just have to be creative with what you have.
Right. So I went a little different. I started off with Sammy Whitcomb, Jewel Lloyd, Kia Nurse, Ezzy Magabor, and Mercedes Russell. So I got 6'6", 6'4". Oh, I was like, what is that?
What?
What is that in the background? Are you drinking something?
No idea. I don't know if that's mine or yours.
Now, just for the record, right? We were talking about, before the technical difficulties, we were talking about the Storm. But you brought to my attention that you said you looked at the Dallas Wings.
Let me tell you, that Dallas squad, they got some dogs in their team. They just have a couple of core big name players on their squad, and then
they have a couple of what?
Squad of big names on their team. I don't know if they all play at once. I haven't seen them play together, and then what they're bringing in on top of that.
So look, I'm about to say, let me just I'm pulling up the roster right now for the people so that way they can see it.
Okay,
so right now off the break, we got, and this is my starting five: Arike, Diamond, Natasha. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and highlight my starting five now. You know what I mean? And then I was about to say Sato. There we go. And then Tierra McCowan.
Or Tierra, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say Tierra McCowan. Now the bench, I think Tierra wins that lineup. I think Tierra wins that one. Now the bench for me, it's going to be interesting what Crystal and Kalani do. But Alok and Charlie, though, they have tremendous potential, and they got drafted not too long ago, 1 and 2 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I got to see what they do. And the craziest thing is they have not gotten enough playing time. And I think with this team, they actually could get some playing time, some valuable experience. Sato Sabali's health factor is questionable for me too, because she has had an injury-riddled career up to this point. So they got a lot of things to work with on this team, though. I was telling my boy Devin they're going to be pretty solid. They could remind me of the Pistons team in 04 when they beat the Lakers. And that following season, right? In that following season, they actually could have gotten Carmelo Anthony. And it's funny because this season they are really positioned nicely in the draft. They have 3 of the top 11 picks. So when you factor all of that in too, the Wings are looking pretty nice. Like that's why I tell people they can rival the Liberty or the Aces. It's not just a 2-team league right now.
2004. Is that when, I could be way off,
That's-
is that before or after when Chauncey
That's when we
Billups
had-
played?
Yeah, that's when Chauncey Billups was on the team, and they beat
Okay.
Karl Malone and Gary Payton when we acquired them on
Okay.
the Lakers.
Okay. I just had to make sure.
And again, the reason why I say the Pistons, Arike and Chauncey, that could or could not be a fair comparison. I think Natasha Howard could give me Rasheed Wallace-like capabilities. You know what I'm saying? That stretch 4, not a girthy type big, but enough girth to man the 4 spot down. Terry McCowan. I don't necessarily want to say Ben Wallace, but Ben Wallace had to go up against Shaq, and you got to go up against John Quayle or Asia Wilson potentially. So I'm giving her that comparison. Exactly, big body. Now Ben was undersized, but for position's sake, we're gonna slide it to it for this one. Sato Sabali, lanky like Tayshaun Prince.
Athletic too.
Yep,
Athletic.
good point. So again, there's some similarity. And then Diamond DeShields, Rip Hamilton. I think Diamond DeShields really can come off the screen and hit that mid range quite nicely.
That's
So-
what I'm thinking about. That.
So I'm thinking the
There's so
Pistons
many
is a nice
scores.
comparison.
They
Exactly.
got so many scores in their front line, bench too, because you got to think about who they're bringing in. They're bringing in that Zergeist girl.
Potentially. We'll see how it's shaped.
The way the mock goes right now, they got 2 guards coming in within the first round. If I looked at it correctly, that's if that coach is creative and plays that well, that's a lot of buckets right there.
I forget
in your
the
core.
other. There were a couple forwards that the Wings could actually draft because again they're getting the number 3 pick and the number 5 pick, and then they're getting
Right.
the number 11 pick. So they could draft
Right.
2 forwards like if they really want to, and then I don't know what
And
the
one
11
big?
pick is.
It'd be a big. I think from what I saw in the mock, that girl, she's like 6'6".
On the 11?
She's coming from Iowa State. She's 6'6". Another big.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. They got Suarez going to the Mystics, which I like. Yeah, Suarez I like going to the Mystics, and then they got Jordan Horston. They have her going to the Wings out of Tennessee.
That's what it's, a girl from Tennessee. Okay, that's
Yeah.
crazy. She's also another diamond type of, a good 3 mid range. I'm pretty sure she can shoot from behind the arc too, but I don't want to misspeak. Yeah, that's a crazy squad, but
I think she was respectable. I gotta check though. I wouldn't. I saw the highlights, and I gotta say I like the fact that they were bringing her in because I think she's someone who can learn after Diamond DeShields. She gives me that type of vibe.
Yeah.
Like her game seems to be comparable, so I think that's somebody who could actually mentor her. So we're
that's
talking
a
about for the
nice
future
substitute
too.
option.
Yeah, exactly, like someone to build off of. So I like the Wings this year. I really do. And again, that's not biased. That's genuine like appreciation for the Wings because
Yeah.
they're looking pretty scary.
I
Like
like
this
it.
starting 5 is solid as hell. Solid.
I like
as
it.
hell.
I like it for sure. I'm good with them. We can skip next to, you mentioned the Minnesota. I think you're right on that one too. With just if Diamond goes how she goes, with just Diamond coming in, I think that's a.
You think something? You think something solid out in Minnesota, or you think they?
Pull up the roster.
Let me see.
I'm pretty certain when I was skimming it over, I was like, okay, depending on how it meshes together, I got them and one other squad that I want to throw out there that I'm.
The Fever.
God damn! She want to go down all the teams. I love it. All right, so hold on. Let me pull them up real quick.
awesome. Thank you for having me. Always with it. Always about it. I hope people enjoy the conversation and have similar or maybe even opposing views. And I also hope that we didn't I didn't inherently or without knowing disrespect any player, because
it is what it is.
Want to do that as a fan.
It is what it is. If so, that just means they got to change your opinion. It is what it is. They can treat it with a grain of salt.
Oh, I did not know you guys were still here. As you can see, we're at the back end of the show. No pun intended, but look, hope you all enjoyed it. And before you go, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the IG account, share the content to anybody who's anybody. And most importantly, leave your thoughts and comments below. But I got to go back and play Buddy in 2K, so let me unmute him real quick. Excuse me. Hey, boss, I'm back. Nah, you better catch this word. You know we get buckets around here.